Welcome to Lifestyle Alchemy. I'm Sydney, medical astrologer, energetic alchemist, and transformation expert. In this podcast, I share what I'm actually living and learning. Sometimes that's decoding my birth chart. Sometimes it's rewiring and regulating my nervous system. Sometimes it's just real talk about what's working and what's not. This show goes beyond astrology. You'll hear about health and wellness, mindset and energy work, manifestation, spirituality, and all the things that help us actually embody who we're meant to be. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to Lifestyle Alchemy. How are you doing? Okay, first of all, I want to say if you listened to the full episode last week, you are such a real one because I'm pretty sure that was the longest episode I've ever done. It was like over an hour and a half long. It's so long. And I am just thankful for you if you are someone who listened to it and you listen every week, or even if you're brand new and this is your first episode. I am so grateful that you're here. I know that I am long-winded and I can just yap and and I think that's why I enjoy the podcast so much, is that I get to just come on here and yammer on about whatever it is that I want to, and there are people who willingly listen to it, and I'm just like, that is the coolest thing in the whole world. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a listener, and I would also love to connect with you. So if we are not already connected, what are we even doing? I would love to connect with you on Instagram or TikTok. I am at Intuitively Sydney. That is my handle right now. I'm thinking about changing it, but it's just such a headache to have to change like all of that stuff. So for right now, it's at Intuitively Sydney, and I would love to connect with you. Okay. Moving on, today I really want to talk about something that has been really grinding my gears for several weeks. And I think I mentioned this, or at least I mentioned kind of a segue into this in the last episode. I'm pretty sure I talked about how my tolerance for anything that feels performative, anything that feels inauthentic or deceptive in any kind of way, anything that just feels fake, and really just, I think performative is the best word, is just, I just have no more tolerance for it. I really don't. I don't know. I mean, I guess at some point I did, because there's a pretty dramatic shift in how I'm like experiencing social media and just really anything that's like just over the top fake or performative, or, you know, just like, I don't know what other words to use, but my tolerance is just, let's say if before it was at like a 10, now it's at like a -20, and it is just, it's at a whole nother level. And I am seeing just everything in a new light. And in some ways it's actually like really unpleasant. Like it's causing me to not enjoy things that I used to enjoy, and it's causing me to just see a lot of people, teachers, creators in a really different light. And I say not enjoyable, but what I don't mean by that is like, just because something is not enjoyable doesn't mean that it's not still true, or it's not still of your highest good. So I'm saying it's not enjoyable because like I'm not able to kind of just like get on Instagram and scroll and just be like, haha, you know, like I used to be. And now I'm just more like just bombarded with just kind of like this clear cognizant knowing of like what people's intentions are and what they're trying to hide. And like whereas before I might have got on Instagram and like seen a picture of somebody and been like, oh, you know, nice picture or whatever. And now it's like, I am just completely unintentionally just like having this claircognizant awareness of everything that they're trying to hide and like bring your attention away from. And that's with pictures and also just with like what people are saying. It's like I'm just having this new awareness and this new like very X-ray clear vision of what people are trying to bring your attention to and what they're trying to then in turn bring your attention away from. And obviously we know that this is a tale as old as time when it comes to like the news. Like we all know that whatever they're like really hyping up in the news, that there's obviously something like way bigger that they're trying to distract us from. Like we, most of us know that. That's not a new concept that I'm telling you. But I think like I'm just noticing this happens so much on social media, and it doesn't necessarily mean that everyone who is falling into this category has bad intentions. Like that's not what I'm saying. This episode is not to just unnecessarily tear people down or talk shit or gossip or hate on people. Like this is not about that. I am not a hater. I am not someone who just likes to gossip. I actually hate gossip. I'm not someone who just like wants to pick people apart for no reason. Like these are truly things that I'm seeing specifically within the spiritual community, but like obviously these things happen across the board. These are not exclusive to the spiritual community, but like the majority of people that I follow are in the either health and wellness or spiritual community. That's just kind of where obviously like I'm in that space, and so that's who I like to follow as well, because that's what I'm into. So I'm going to speak on what I see and what I know and what I've experienced myself. And if what I say in this episode brings to mind anyone, I just want to reiterate, like, this is not about tearing people down or necessarily singling people out just for the hell of it. Like, this is not a mean girl episode. I am not a mean girl, but I do feel like it's my responsibility to speak up about things that are like extremely heavy on my spirit and on my heart lately, and things that are really being revealed to me via my higher self is what I believe. And hopefully kind of give you a new perspective if you need it, and give you maybe some extra tools for discernment whenever you are making decisions on who to invest in, who to work with, who to trust, and who to get, information from. And I am also, I will say, a big believer in, like, you don't have to agree with 100% of what anybody says in order to respect them or to view them as a credible, source in their niche, in their expertise. Like, I don't think that there's probably any person in my real life or in like the online space, the mentor teacher space, that I agree with 100% of what they say. Like, I truly don't think that there is a person that I could find that I would be like, yes, I'm on board with every single thing that you say and teach. I'm a big fan and big believer in take what resonates and leave the rest. I'm sure that if you've listened to any number of my episodes, I'm sure that there's things that I've said that you don't 100% agree with, or you just maybe don't have the same frame of reference or the same perspective on, and that is okay. I'm certainly not saying that you need to try to find people that you just agree with 100%, but I'm just going to talk to you today about some sneaky, like, spiritual manipulation, marketing tactics to watch out for that I'm just seeing run fucking rampant. And I don't know if these things are actually ramping up more and people are using them more, or if I'm just noticing it more. I'm not sure which it is. It really doesn't matter. But I do feel, especially like, as I've talked about in so many episodes, we are now in a year one, a collective numerological year one. It is a new 9-year cycle that we have just begun, and we are almost in, like, we're still technically, at the time of recording this episode, we are still technically in the year of the snake. So we are still in that last shed. And then I think it's on February 17th that we officially move into the year of the fire horse. But I mean, it's close. Right now I'm recording this on February 4th. So we are so close. We're days away. And then also for me, my personal numerological years align with the collective. So I'm closing out a 9-year cycle and entering in a new 9-year cycle. And I'm really feeling like a new energy. And in some ways it's like really exciting, and it feels like new, new parts of myself that are being unlocked, and parts of myself that are maybe not quite unlocked, but I know that they're like about to, like they're being, like there's a catalyst that's about to bring them forth, and I'm so excited for that. But then in some ways also I'm noticing a lot of discomfort and a lot of, like I said, like just intolerance to things that I used to maybe be somewhat blind to. And I think like that is a part of growth. Like discomfort does not mean that it's bad. It just means that it's uncomfortable because it's new and it's unfamiliar. And sometimes, we have to be okay with being uncomfortable, and we have to be okay with noticing things that maybe we didn't notice before, because we are meant to do something with that, whether it's something that you are meant to share with others, or whether it's just something that you are supposed to use to pivot your own behavior or your own habits, or, whatever it may be. So, I am going to just be sharing, I think I have 8 things listed here. Yeah. 8 different sneaky manipulation tactics to watch out for. And these are things, like I said, that I have seen. Some of them have happened directly to me. Some of them I just see like people posting about, and I'm like, oh my God. And so we're gonna get on with it. I think I'm also going to share with you, probably next week, my experience. I know I've said this for months, that I'm going to share my experience of training my intuition, quote unquote, training my intuition, and what my experience with that was, and why I wouldn't do it again, and why I really, for lack of a better term, like I just got some beef with it. I've just got some beef with it. So yeah, I was thinking about just including that in this episode, but then I just decided I really want today to be about the manipulation tactics, and then I'll talk about the intuitive stuff on its own. I'm going to give it its own spotlight, and I'll probably just piggyback and do that next week. So that they will be in a row. So, all right, let's get into it. Let's get into these sneaky spiritual manipulation tactics to watch out for. Okay, number 1, I have future faking enlightenment. And so, okay, this is so interesting. So future faking is actually like a new, well, I don't actually know if it's new, but I know I've seen several things coming up about it. Like mostly in relation to dating. And if you know what I'm talking about. So like future faking is like when you have those people or those guys, I mean, women can do it too, but I've just seen it talked about mostly with guys doing it, where they're like making you all these like promises, and like they're just like, they're planning a whole like future with you. They're making you all these false promises, but they actually have like really no intention of making them happen, like making them come true. They're basically just like selling you this whole story, this whole future that like you really want, like it's very attractive to you, but they are not, like they're so not committed. They're like not in on making that happen. And so in the context of like the spiritual world, future faking enlightenment would be like someone is making these like really huge promises, and maybe they're vague or maybe they're hyper specific. Like it doesn't really matter. It could go either way, but they're like making all these promises about what's going to happen after you join their course or their program or whatever. Like your entire life is going to change, or this is going to collapse timelines. You're going to know how to do this, this, and this. You're going to be able to heal everything in your body. Everything you desire is going to manifest. Just like, there's not necessarily a clear explanation of how, or like how exactly that works. Is this actually realistic? But they're just like making these like really like clickbaity promises, and you read it and you think like, oh, well, yeah, fuck, I want that. Yes, of course I want that. But it's also like, how though? Like, is this repeatable? Is this something that is proven, or is this just your experience? And, there's so many reasons of why somebody might be able to manifest something, but someone else might not. Like, it might not even be that they truly manifested it. It might be that it was literally just going to happen anyway because it was in their soul contract. Like, anyway, I could go on a whole rabbit hole on that. But there's just so many things, like so many different things that I've seen people like advertising as far as like their courses or their online programs or their memberships or whatever, on social media lately. And I'm seeing like so many of these like future faking, promises, like these buzzwordy, clickbaity promises that people are making. And I'm just like, oh my fucking God, that is so, in my opinion, that is so wildly unethical, to promise something like that. And I'll give you an example. So something that I saw it's been maybe a couple weeks at this point, at least a week ago, a teacher, like a spiritual teacher / mentor creator, had reposted a story that someone who had just signed up for her program, like her course, had shared. Okay, so a woman signed up for this mentor's course and she shared it on her story. She was like so excited, and she was like, oh my God, like I just signed up for this program and I got $7,000. Like I got an extra $7,000. And that's something that happens sometimes whenever you invest in yourself. Sometimes you're immediately kind of quote unquote rewarded, like it's recirculated back to you. Sometimes it's even more than the amount that you initially invested. That's something that happens sometimes. That's kind of like a phenomenon that we have heard of. Most of us have heard of that happening, or maybe it's even happened to you. It's kind of like that. It really, in my opinion, it just kind of comes back to like what you give is what you get. Like things are going to circulate. If you're circulating negative, bad energy, if you're circulating like just talking shit about people and being in a really low vibrational state, like that's what you're putting out. You're going to get that back in whatever way, shape, form. If you are investing in things and you're circulating money into the economy, like you might be more likely to also have people invest in you, or, to receive that back in some kind of a financial or monetary way. If you are someone who goes to the Starbucks drive-thru and you often, pay for the person behind you, you're bound to get that back in some way. It may not be in that exact same form, but it may be, in another form. Somebody gives you a gift, or like they buy your meal unexpectedly, or, something like that. So that is something that happens. And this girl had posted, and I have no idea what the details are. I don't know if this woman is self-employed, or if she has like a corporate job where she got like a $7,000 bonus, or if she got a raise, or if she has her own business and maybe somebody made a $7,000 investment in her. I have no idea like how she received that money. But she had posted, oh my God, I just signed up for this program and I received $7,000. And so this mentor that I had mentioned, the person whose course it is that she signed up for, she reshared the story, and she was like, oh my God, she just made $7,000 just for signing up for, or just by signing up for X program. And I just was so incredibly put off by that, not because I don't believe that that's a possible thing. Like I just said, I know that is a thing. What you give out is what you get back. And when you invest in yourself, oftentimes other people will also invest in you. Like, I'm not refuting that aspect of it, but it was just so clickbaity, like, oh my God, sign up for my program so that you can also get a random unexpected amount of money back to you. Like, it's just such a false promise. It is just such an, in my opinion, unethical thing to make people think is going to happen to them, because and also it completely diminishes all of the work or whatever this woman had done to be able to receive that $7,000. Because guess what? You don't just receive $7,000 for no fucking reason. Like, unless somebody, like, somebody passes away and you have, like, you get an inheritance or something, like, $7,000 doesn't just, like, come to you. Like, you have to do your part, like, whether it's having a job and, you know, doing a really great job and getting a raise or getting a bonus, or if you're in sales, you know, maybe you get commission, or if you have your own business, like, you did the work to create and build that business and create really valuable content that people want to buy. And, you know, you have the avenues for you to actually be able to attract and pull in and receive that money. And by diminishing it and just saying, oh my God, she just received $7,000 just for signing up for my program. No, she fucking didn't. She received $7,000 because she had a way for it to come to her in the first place, whether it is, like I said, a corporate job, whether it is she has her own business and she's done a shit ton of work to be able to get to the point where someone or multiple people would invest in her for her to receive $7,000. Like, to me, that just completely undermined and ignored everything that person had done to even be in the situation to be able to receive that amount of money. And I just hope that nobody else saw that and thought, oh, okay, well, I don't have a job, or I don't have anything going for me, or I haven't done any of the necessary work to be in a situation like that where I would be able to receive that money. But let me just go ahead and sign up for this course and see if, like, miraculously I just, like, you know, the next day wake up and have, like, this new amount of money in my account. Like, I mean, it sounds like silly, but it's like, people might actually see that and think that is a real thing that's going to happen. And I'm sorry to, like, don't shoot the messenger, but, like, that is just not going to fucking happen. You are not going to wake up in the morning and have some crazy amount of money just magically in your account. Like, it's kind of like if you want to manifest being, like, a New York Times bestselling author, and you're, like, scripting about it, and you're doing your affirmations, and you're like, I am a New York Times bestselling author, and you're, like, visualizing it, and you're feeling all the feelings and feeling it real and all of that. You're doing all the things, all the manifestation techniques, but you never write a book and look for a publisher or self-publish it or whatever. You never actually do the thing that's going to make that manifestation even remotely possible for you. Like, hello, it's not going to happen. We have to do our part too. And so whenever we see these things and these, like, false future faking promises, it's just like, that is so manipulative. It is like, come buy my program so you can manifest a crazy amount of money just because you invested in yourself. Like, that was so incredibly off-putting to me. And it was so, like, it just stood out so clearly as manipulation. And it happens all the time. Like, this one instance that I'm mentioning, that is just one in the pot of thousands of, you know, I mean, there's so many, and I see it within the health and wellness space too, you know, like, oh, you know, join my program and balance your hormones in 30 days, or, like, no, that's not, maybe that happens for some people, but you can't tell someone that that's what's going to happen for them. You just can't. There's too many other factors that go into it that are out of your control as the facilitator or as the creator, as the teacher. Okay, so that's number one. I had to make that number one because I just feel I'm so incredibly repelled by that kind of content. And I think that it should be like, I mean, I think it's so, like I said, unethical. And I just think it's so wrong to use that kind of marketing. I'm just going to even take it a step further and say, like, if you're not confident enough about what you're offering, that you need to say things like that. You need to use clickbait, and you need to use these really like over the top promises. Like, to me, that means you're not confident enough in what, like, in the transformation that you're offering, because you are just like making people believe these false things that may or may not happen for, like, maybe it has happened for some people, but it's not repeatable. It's like, it's not going to it's not reproducible for every single person. And so anyway, okay, let's move on to number 2. Using spiritual language to bypass accountability. So it might sound like phrases like, oh, well, if it didn't work, like, you just weren't embodied enough, or you just didn't trust your intuition enough, or your resistance blocked the transmission, you weren't a match for the frequency, or you just like didn't overcome your emotional blocks, or you had an emotional imbalance, or you're like, I don't know, there's so many different phrases that could go along with this, but it shifts like all of the responsibility onto the client and protects the practitioner or the teacher from ever being questioned. And I see this so much, like, oh my gosh. And it's like, yes, of course, we want to protect ourselves as creators, as teachers, as people who create courses, and like, everything is so nuanced. And that's the thing. Everything is so nuanced. So yes, people that have limiting beliefs, or people whose subconscious mind isn't fully on board, are they going to have as good of results as someone who is totally on board and doesn't have limiting beliefs? Yeah, obviously. But just having these like really like spiritual, fluffy, like terms that just completely bypass accountability for you as the teacher or as the mentor, like, unethical, manipulative, full body no from me. Okay, we'll keep that one short. Let's go on to number 3. Upselling when people are in an altered or vulnerable state. This is huge within the spiritual community. So what I'm talking about is whenever someone is choosing to like pitch a high ticket program or any kind of like offering that they have immediately after like a really vulnerable retreat, or like plant medicine ceremony, or breathwork circle, or some kind of just like deep emotional release, or somewhere, I mean, obviously within the spiritual space, there's so many different like ways and opportunities and situations where people get really vulnerable and people get raw and they're sharing, and you know, it's like a shared experience. It bonds you feel safe in that environment. And then if you're basically kind of being taken advantage of by being sold or being pitched something while you're in this heightened like emotional state, that again is manipulative, because you are not necessarily, it's not that it's a bad container to be in necessarily, but it's like, if you just got off some plant medicine, or you just came out of a really, really vulnerable, transformative experience where everybody was emotional, and like, you're just not totally, like, maybe you're a little bit dissociated, or maybe you're feeling a little bit euphoric, or you're feeling just really open and raw, and like your heart's on your sleeve, and you're just feeling really extra suggestible. Like, that's not you like fully in your power. That's not you fully having consent and like discernment over yourself in the same way that you would just like on a regular Tuesday or something, you know? And this is so common, you know, like people wanting to sell you things after they just got you in like this really raw, vulnerable state. And this is something too that happens a lot, like within like Christianity. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking of, you know, if you've ever been in like the church, especially like an evangelical church, like the whole sermon is about, you know, like they're wanting to not tear you down, but like, you know, make you see why you're such a sinner and why like what you do is so wrong. Like they, you know, like whatever you're doing is like how they're wanting to point out like how you're in sin or how your, you know, your flesh is so bad. And then at the end, it's like, you know, the call to give your life over to Christ and like go, you might even go to the altar to pray or be prayed for and maybe get baptized, and then they do the offering. They send the offering plate around and you're supposed to give financially. And it's like, you know, if you were really buying into that sermon and everything, like you might be in a emotionally vulnerable or like, you know, you're feeling very soft, you're feeling very tender, and now they're asking for money from you. And I just think that that's a really curious timing. And not every church does this. Like obviously there are exceptions to every rule. Like I'm certainly not saying every church does this, but I have personally seen this happen a lot of times in church whenever I used to go to church and used to be a Christian. Okay. Let's move on. Number 4, creating artificial urgency using spiritual pressure. So saying like, oh God, I see this one, oh my God, all the time. Like almost everybody does this, like language like this portal is closing, or like if you don't join now, you're going to miss out. I don't know if I'm going to be offering this again. This might not ever be available again, and it won't be available at this price, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yes, obviously you want people to buy whatever you're selling. Like, and I am not excluded from that. Obviously, I have created products that I truly believe in, that I truly believe can transform your health and your relationship to your body. And I'm so passionate about that. I stand behind that like 10 toes down, and I have the testimonials to back it up as well. And so it's like, yes, I want people to buy if they feel aligned and if they feel called, but there's so much of this language of like this, like there's a lot of talk about like this portal is closing, or like you just don't want to miss out on this. Like, I don't know if this will ever be offered again in this way, you know, stuff like that. And it's just like, come on, you know, like, don't you want people to be making decisions not just from an energy of like urgency and like, I need this, like, I'm not going to be okay if I don't get this, you know? I think that one just kind of speaks for itself. That one's probably one of the easiest ones to pick out whenever, if you're just like scrolling or you're reading a sales page or, you know, something like that. Like you can hear when someone is using kind of this artificial urgency. And it just kind of starts to feel like a used car salesman situation of like, you're like, what? For me, like it makes me not even want, like it makes it feel unaligned to me. There was one time when there was this, I don't even follow her anymore, but there was this, woman who, she was like a business coach kind of like, but it was like business coach, but also like identity, kind of like what is your identity like within business, like what is your purpose within business. And she had a program that initially sounded good to me, and I think I had signed up for like a free webinar that she was doing to where like I would learn more about kind of just her style and her content and everything like that. And she was like DMing me, like cold DM. I mean, I guess it was like lukewarm DMing me because I had signed up for the free webinar, but then she was like sending me all this stuff, and she was like wanting to like sell me in the DMs like before the webinar even happened. And I was just like, you know, I don't know if this, I mean, it was a large financial commitment. I think the program itself was like maybe $3,000 or something. And I mean, I guess like large is relative, but like, I don't know, when we get into the thousands, that's where like, to me, it's like, I'm not just going to be like willy-nilly signing up for shit that's like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you know, like that's something I really need to be like, I need to feel really, really, really good about it. And I need to feel like I want to work with you. And so I just thought it was really off-putting that she was trying to sell me in the DMs with this weird urgency. And I mean, it was like she was guilting me for not wanting to commit to it. And I'm like, I literally haven't even heard you teach. I haven't seen your content other than what's on your social media. Like it was just very bizarre. She was like running all of these like limited time special discounts that expire tonight, like just so happens that it expires tonight, because she wanted me to sign up like immediately. And that felt very, very manipulative, and it felt very much like she did not want me to make a decision from a grounded, like regulated place. She wanted me to make a decision in rushed urgency and this perceived feeling of like, there's no way I can succeed if I don't get this course and hear what she has to say. And so, I mean, for that reason alone, like just because I was so put off by how she handled that, like I specifically did not sign up for the program. I was like, I do not like this energy. I don't think that it's in integrity to act like that. And I don't think that that you should ever shame someone for not signing up for something in that urgency energy. If someone signs up for a course from me, or, they get a health blueprint from me, I want it to be in a really like empowered energy. I want it to be like an act of self-love for them, not an act of, I don't think I'm going to be okay if I don't get this, because then that's like frantic energy. And it's also putting a lot of responsibility on me, which I cannot take responsibility for people's lives. Like I cannot take responsibility for the success of someone's health or someone's business. Obviously, I'm not a business coach, but like I can provide you with all of this like incredible medical astrology information about your body and all of that, and like root cause healing, all of that. I can write you all the plans and the protocols, and I can make so many suggestions and supplements and lifestyle practices, nervous system techniques, but I can't take the responsibility for your success in implementing those and doing that. And I don't want to. I want you to make a decision to purchase from a place of, like I said, self-love and choosing to do the work, but like you're a willing participant. You're not making that decision out of some like weird scarcity, urgency energy. Okay, moving on. Positioning themselves as the teacher, as the gatekeeper. Like they are the only ones that have the answer. You need them in order to access your gifts, your intuition, your manifesting power, whatever, fill in the blank. Like they are the only one who can activate you. They are the only one who will give it to you straight, give you the information. You will regress without their continued guidance. You will fall for things that are not good for you if you don't have them in your ear telling you like what to think or what to do or who to trust. Like you will take so much longer to be successful or to be on your like true life path, your soul's desire, your soul's purpose without their guidance. Like whatever, you can fill in the blank with literally whatever. This is so common. I have also experienced this, and I have also fallen for this. Like these things are like, they're obvious once you're aware of them, but they are also very easy to fall for. I have literally fallen for this one where like there's one, teacher in particular who I have taken multiple courses or master classes or whatever workshops from, who literally teaches you how to do energy work to make people feel like they can't get what they need without you, like to make people think that, like to program people your clients or whatever, your audience, to feel like they have to have you, or they literally can't get what they need without you. Like, this teacher like teaches you how to do that. But what's interesting, and what I don't think people are realizing or catching on to, is like, she's teaching you how to do that, but she's also doing that on you. Like, as a member of her community, or as a member of her audience, someone that consumes her content, like, you are not exempt from that. If that's what she's teaching you how to do, that is also what she's doing on you. And then therefore, so many people are like continuing to take these courses that are essentially just like repackaged information. Like, it's the same information, it's the same teachings, with like just replacing different words. Like, I mean, I won't get into that, but it's just like, it's very interesting. Like, people, you can't just assume that people aren't doing like manipulative energy work on you. Like, people do energy work on their Instagrams. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Like, there is obviously a good way to do it. Like, there is a way that is not manipulative to do energy work. And there is a way that is fucking manipulative, and that takes people's agency away. And it takes people's like awareness away. It takes people's, what's the word? I mean, agency is a good word, but just their authority, like their true clear-headed decision-making authority away from them, because now they're buying into your stuff. And now that they've fallen into your energy work of believing that they absolutely cannot get what they need without you. And that is manipulative, because the truth is, there are so many ways to get to where you want to go, where you need to go. And there are so many different teachers, and there are so many different methods that can work for you, and that will work for different people. You know, we're all different. Different things work for all of us. And to kind of act like you're the only one that can provide what people need is just absolutely, I mean, I know I keep saying unethical, but unethical, immoral, manipulative, just not good. Not good. Okay. Number 6, vagueness described as quote unquote high level work. So these are the teachers or the creators that just use lots of buzzwords. It's very little substance. It's very like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like so fluffy. It's like so fluffy. And these can be terms like quantum recalibration, DNA upgrades, light codes, key codes, you know, all transmissions, all these things that you're like, okay, but like, what does that mean? Like, what actually are you referring to? You know, like, there's so many different like things, like offerings that I see, and some of them are free, some of them are paid, but it's like, okay, like here's a meditation that has DNA upgrade and light body upgrade, cell transmission. Like, it's just like all these different words, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, literally, what are you actually talking about? And it's not that I'm saying that quantum recalibration isn't real, or that DNA upgrades aren't possible. Like, yes, all of that is real, all of that is possible, all of that is something that you can absolutely like attain, but tell me how. Like, if you're going to offer something like that, tell me what you're doing that's going to give me that result, or that's going to like transmit this healing into my body spontaneously. Like, what light codes exactly are you using? What are you actually talking about? What is your method? Like, what does this actually look like in practice? Because if you actually know, and if you truly practice these things like in integrity, and you have studied, or maybe you just were born with some really, really extraordinary gifts and connection to the divine, and you can see things, like you're clairvoyant, or like you just have these abilities, you should be able to explain that. You should be able to explain that. It is not something that you're like, well, I just can't, I don't know how to explain. I don't know how. Like, no, if you're truly practicing something that has to do with quantum recalibration or DNA upgrades or light codes or anything, like, you should be able to explain it. And if you can't, you are probably a fraud and you're just using buzzwords that we all have heard of in the spiritual community and that many of us are attracted to because they sound really cool and it sounds like, ooh, like this is so fancy. And you're just like disguising some really phony surface level work with these really fancy, legit sounding terms. And shame on you if you're doing that. Okay, number 7, public displays of wealth as proof of spiritual authority. Oh my goodness gracious. Now, I know a lot of us have opinions about whether or not a spiritual teacher or a spiritual mentor should be wealthy. And I am going to say my personal opinion is that if you are in your soul's purpose and you are doing what is aligned for you, like I don't have a problem. If you're doing things within integrity and you are truly like having the highest and best intentions and like you're aligned in what you're offering and all of that, like I have no issues at all. Like I want you to be successful. I want you to be wealthy. I think that there is no shortage of resources. I think that we can all succeed. I certainly don't feel like it's, if someone else is successful, that means that I can't also be successful. Like that is an incredibly limiting belief and I don't subscribe to it. And so I don't have an issue with wealth. I don't have an issue with a spiritual teacher becoming wealthy because they are sharing really valuable teachings or information or courses or whatever it may be. I think people should be rewarded for what they offer, whenever it is valuable and it's needed within this world. However, whenever it's just flashy lifestyle marketing framed as like, this is what it looks like when you're aligned, or this is proof that the work works, or this is proof that when you trust your intuition, blah, 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 blah. Like, wealth does not equal integrity. Wealth does not equal embodiment. It doesn't equal ethics. It doesn't equal alignment necessarily. Sometimes it does, but I mean, look at all the billionaires who are very documented in the Epstein files. Like, wealth does not equal goodness or purity, like I said, integrity. So when you see these spiritual or manifesting coaches or intuitive people, posting like, oh, I just bought my G-Wagon, like this is why you should, like, I'm just like, oh my God, it's not that I have an issue with you having those things. Like, I am happy for you to have those things, truly. Like, I'm a bougie bitch too. Like, I like the finer things in life and I don't have any guilt about that. But that doesn't equal, like, one's ability to attain those things doesn't mean that, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are just embodied or they are definitely on their soul, their highest timeline, their soul's path. That doesn't necessarily mean that. And so that's all I'll say about that. Okay. Number 8, the last one we have here, is discouraging outside support or discernment. And this is also very, very common. Okay. And so this is when you see teachers subtly, or maybe not so subtly, shaming things like doctors or other kinds of modalities other than what they themselves teach or offer, or like shaming people who like talk therapy or who feel like they really benefit from talk therapy. And that's something, like, obviously it doesn't mean that you have to do it or partake in it yourself, but if you are discouraging people, or if someone is discouraging people from seeking medical help, or from, like, let's say you're a health and wellness practitioner like myself. I am an alternative, holistic health and wellness practitioner. However, I still very, 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 very much encourage, like explicitly encourage my clients to seek like medical advice from their doctor. I am not a doctor. I am not claiming to be a doctor. And so if I were to be like, doctors don't know shit, blah, 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 like, that would be incredibly manipulative. Like, yes, I have been very open about my experience with how Western medicine has just greatly let me down over the years, but also Western medicine in a lot of ways saves people's lives like every single fucking day. And we would have a much shorter life expectancy if it weren't for Western medicine. And there is a place for everything. There is a time and a place for everything. I myself am not into talk therapy. That does not mean that I would ever tell someone else to not do talk therapy if that's something that they felt like they needed or that they just enjoy. There's so many different modalities. There's so many different healing techniques, and we are all, again, so different. It is never a one size fits all. That's probably my favorite phrase, like, ever. And so a lot of times, like, we'll see, like I said, with that, whether it's in the health and wellness space or whether it's in the spiritual space, like, someone will be shitting on talk therapy, or someone will be shitting on doctors, or someone will be shitting on I don't know, plant medicine, or just breath work, or yoga. Like, a lot of people shit on yoga, which I think is so wild. And it's just creating like an us versus them dynamic. It's suggesting that like their work is above any other form of support, and that is not right. Like, that is incredibly manipulative. And so, okay, that is the 8 things that I have for you today. And I'm glad that I decided to go ahead and do a separate episode talking about my experience with trading my intuition, because we're already at almost an hour. So this has been a long episode. Yeah, this is just something, like I said, I'm just seeing this so incredibly much lately, mostly on social media, but you can see it anywhere where things are being sold. And it's just, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's just me becoming more aware of it because of myself entering a new 9-year cycle, and I'm just feeling like I'm just really shedding like anything that was keeping me from seeing things clearly or being able to truly like discern in the most pure way possible. Like, that is just, everything is falling away. Anything that was like blocking me from seeing things exactly as they are, and seeing things that people are trying to hide or trying to distract us from, like, my attention is just being so very clearly brought exactly to that. And so I just wanted to share these things. These are probably some of the most common manipulation tactics and marketing tactics that I see. And so if you see any of these, I hope that you that can recognize it. If you didn't before, I hope that you do now, and that you can then maybe, maybe you make a different decision, or maybe you still sign up, but you just have a little bit of extra discernment, and you maybe energetically protect yourself a little bit more intentionally than you would have before. Because remember, people are doing energy work. Like, a lot of people in this space who are in the spiritual space are doing energy work on everyone that sees their content on social media, or everyone that signs up for their program, everyone that listens to their podcast. People are doing energy work on you. And sometimes it's going to be a blessing. Sometimes it's like really, really good and high frequency, high vibrational. And it's like they're sending love, and they're sending light, and they're sending blessings. And sometimes they're just trying to program you to feel like you absolutely have to have what they offer, and that you can't go on unless you sign up for their course or their whatever it is that they're offering. And that's something that you may not even have the awareness of. They may not even share that, or maybe they do, and you're just not realizing that that's what's happening. So I just hope that this served you in some way, shape, or form. I would love to hear if it did, or if any of these resonated, or if this just made you start to see things a little bit differently, start to see marketing a little bit differently. Yeah. And let me know too, if you're just also like me experiencing this just absolute intolerance of anything that's performative or inauthentic in the slightest way. That's why I really haven't been posting much on social media lately, because I'm just like trying to figure out like how I want to do things moving forward, because all of the tactics and all of the like algorithm stuff and like post like this, not like this, and you've got to have a good hook, and you've got to have this, and you got to have that, and it's got to be a video less than 3 minutes, and if you want it to be pushed out to new people, like all of these like arbitrary fucking rules, or like not rules, but like preferences that we have put on ourselves because of the Instagram algorithm or the TikTok algorithm. I'm just like, I don't resonate with that. Like, I don't want to build my content based on these like silly little things. And I don't want to use like buzzwordy terms and like, you know, I don't want to be a part of the group of people who are using these future faking, you know, making these false promises or these potentially false promises. I don't want to be like clickbaity. I just want to share like me and my life and the things that I feel passionate about and that I'm becoming an expert in, and things that I believe can really help other people. And I want to do it in a way that feels authentic to me. And I'm still trying to feel out how I can do that without kind of falling into this trap of like, well, you have to post this many times a week and you have to do it this way, and the caption has to be long, and there's got to be like all these keywords and blah, 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 blah. Like, I just don't like that. It feels so icky to me. And so anyway, that's why I haven't really been posting a whole lot. But if you're kind of just feeling the same energy, I would love to know if I'm not alone. So feel free to DM me. But okay, that's all for today. I said, yeah, I think I'll talk about next week about my experience with training my intuition and all of that. And yeah, so I will talk to you next Thursday. I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week.